Our council meeting of Monday, July the 13th, 2020. I'm Mitchell Brownstein, your mayor. I have with me Councillor Mike Cohen, Councillor Mitch Kajavsky, Councillor Sidney Benizri, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor David Torgman, and Councillor Stephen Erdely. We also have with us the city manager, Tanya Baranovich, the co-city manager and director of legal services, Jonathan Schechter, associate city manager, Nadia DeFuria, and we have our city clerk, Jason Prevost, and we have Daryl Levine from communications. That's who you see on the screen. We're going to start the meeting, first of all, with a moment of silence to remember all those who have been infected and those who we've lost due to COVID-19. The virus is still with us, and we have to be vigilant. So we take that moments of silence thinking of what we as individuals can do to ensure that the situation remains good. And we see today that the Premier has announced that masks will be mandatory. And the bylaw that appears to be coming into effect seems to be very, very similar to the one that we passed, meaning that it will be in indoor spaces and that the obligation will be on the business owner to enforce it, similarly to the manner in which we drafted our bylaw. We provided a copy of our bylaw to the province, to Mayor Plon, to all the Association of Suburban Mayors. And this is good news. This is because each thing that we do as people to try to reduce the spread of the virus allows us to save people that we may never know who we saved. And every life that we save, so particularly when you don't even know who you're saving, is a real service to humanity. So I'm speaking to all of you out there today, particularly the kids going to bars and having a good time, to remember that you could save lives just by doing the right thing. So wearing a mask, washing your hands, and physical distancing is what we're told to do, and we're going to keep on doing it. We're going to do it well. We're going to do it well in Côte Saint-Luc, and we're going to do it well as Quebecers and Canadians, and maintain the quality of life that we have right now, and things will continue to get better. I'm going to ask Jason Prevost to explain the rules of a Zoom council meeting, and then we'll have question period.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to read out, as I did at the last public council meeting, the rules for question period. I'm going to read it in English first, and then I'm going to repeat it in French. So the Quebec government has allowed city council members to meet by way of video conference during the pandemic and recommend council meetings be made available as a recording or as a live stream. It also recommends that municipalities include a question period. So the city of Côte Saint-Luc is following these recommendations, and city council meetings are live streamed on YouTube as it's done tonight. The city has adopted the Montreal agglomerations approach for the question period. So residents could submit questions by email to questionperiod@cotestluc.org until 5 p.m. on the day of the council meeting. The questions are going to be answered during the live stream of the council meeting. And each time I'm going to read out loud the question, and then the mayor or a council member could answer. Council meetings also have a second question period where the public can ask a question that's related to an item on tonight's agenda. In order to collect these questions from the public, we open the YouTube live chat right at the start of the second question period, and the questioner must obviously write their question and their name, and council members will subsequently answer the question. Donc, je vais lire en français. Le gouvernement provincial permet aux municipalités de tenir les réunions du conseil par vidéoconférence pendant la pandémie et recommande qu'elles soient diffusées par voie de vidéo en direct. Le gouvernement provincial recommande aux municipalités d'inclure une période de questions. La ville de Côte Saint-Luc suit ces recommandations et les réunions du conseil sont diffusées en direct sur YouTube. La ville de Côte Saint-Luc a adopté l'approche de l'agglomération de Montréal en ce qui concerne la période de questions. Donc, les résidents peuvent soumettre leurs questions par courriel à période-de-questions@côte-saint-luc.org jusqu'à 17 h le jour de la réunion. Le conseil répondra aux questions ensuite durant la diffusion en direct. Les séances ordinaires du conseil ont aussi une deuxième période de questions où le public peut poser une question en lien avec un item sur l'ordre du jour. Et afin de recueillir ces questions, nous ouvrirons la fonction de clavardage sur YouTube juste avant la deuxième période de questions. Et l'auteur de la question doit inclure son nom et on répondra ensuite à la question du ou de la résidente. All this information is on the city website if residents want to consult it. So I'm going to start with the first question.
Thank you.
So resident is Tanya Alfonsi. I'm the owner of the duplex located at 5767 Eldridge. My duplex is attached to the duplex at 5771 Eldridge. Over the course of 2 years, the city has been made aware of several grievances regarding 5771 Eldridge and non-compliance with city bylaws, including zoning bylaws and construction permits. And the question is, why is the city of Luke enforcing zoning bylaws, construction, or renovations bylaws with respect to 5771 Eldridge?
With respect to this particular address, when we became aware of potential construction, we did not issue any permit and we sent an inspector. And this past Thursday, last week on Thursday, the city inspector once again observed work without a permit and infractions will be issued as a consequence. Next question.
The next question is from Louise Legault. Since the city of Montreal has diverted the Tobe Lake collector to avoid polluting the Saint-Pierre River on Meadowbrook, the river takes form of puddles between rocky outcrops of the dried riverbed during dry periods. This diversion is supposed to be temporary until the source of the pollution, cross connections in Côte Saint-Luc and Montreal West are corrected. So the questions are as follows. There are two questions. How many 167 potential cross connections identified in the 2014 City of Montreal study of the Tobe Lake collector have you found on the city's territory? And when will all of them be corrected? If the situation persists, this last visible section of the Saint-Pierre River will disappear altogether from the maps.
Well, the engineering department is currently analyzing the situation. We'll be giving council an update. The information they have so far is that we do not have many cross connections. And of course, it would be our intention to collaborate with homeowners to find ways to remedy this problem. Thank you, Maître Prévost. And the next question.
Okay, the next question is from Wibke Scheid. I'm following up on my last question at the council meeting in October of last year and the progress of the issue of establishing meadows and how has it been handled. I was assured by Public Works and the Environmental Commission that they would be informed of my points, but I have not been advised of any plans. In view of the heating up of the planet, resulting in increased summer temperatures in our city, it is advised by scientists to keep our living space as green as possible. And I'm going to read the two questions. Have the city's lawnmowers been adjusted to keep the grass longer or higher in order to withstand longer heat of the sun? And how many vacant city lots are willfully let not mowed to produce wild flora, a perfect environment for birds and bees to live in?
Well, in terms of our public works, we don't mow at all on very hot days, and we keep the grass at a reasonable level so it doesn't burn in the sun. As to vacant lots, in our nuisance bylaw, we have a designated grass limit of 15 centimeters on property. That's bylaw 2470. Grass and weeds, allowing long grass and weeds or branches to grow in excess of 15 centimeters on a property would cause problems. Apart from the aesthetics, we don't want weeds to proliferate, and we could have allergies such as ragweed, and also small creatures can find homes there. So we don't want the grass to go beyond the 15 centimeters. But I think that answers the questions.
Okay, the next question is from Fernanda Cano. The resident presented four questions and they have four separate topics. So I suggest that we go through one by one to avoid confusion. So the first question, I've had issues with people blocking my driveway for a long time. Last time I had to call public security, it took over 40 minutes for a car to come. I'd like to know why and how the city plans to inhibit this behavior. It is a common complaint around synagogues and schools.
Well, you did the right thing, obviously, by calling for a ticket to be issued. It's very hard to control every person in a city, in a community. People should know that it is illegal to block a driveway. And we will continue in our communications to make that understood, but I think people know they shouldn't be doing it and they could get a ticket. So you did the right thing by calling. I'm sorry they didn't come quicker.
Okay, the second question. So this question deals with the city enforcing its own bylaws. For instance, the city demands that a taxpayer, in order to be refunded for a tree removal, has to replace it by a tree that has a diameter of at least 5 centimeters. However, the maples planted by the city at Centennial in front of Biba are thinner than 5 centimeters.
I live across from those. I didn't measure them, but they seem to be perhaps the 5 centimeter diameter. I can't be sure. I'd have to have that checked. But this is our bylaws, and they're drafted in the way to ensure that whatever is planted grows healthily and helps the environment.
Okay, the next question. Why does it take between 3 and 4 weeks to be refunded after an inspector comes by and proves the planting of a new tree? If the taxpayer is late on his or her books from the library or on his property taxes or any other taxes, penalties start immediately. Why is the speed not the same and when it benefits citizens?
Or we might be a little slow right now, a little short-staffed and slow with COVID-19. Everything's taking a little bit longer, but we don't, expect instant results. I mean, when we send out a tax bill, the first installment's due in a month, and the second in 3 months. And with COVID-19, we delayed it even several months further, or a couple months longer. So things take time, and we're reasonable with residents as well. So we'll try to be more efficient, but staff can't act in the drop of a dime. So, yeah. Next question.
Okay, the final question deals with the smoking bylaw. Why didn't the city approve a bylaw similar to the one in Hampstead prohibiting any kind of smoking in all public areas? By allowing kids to watch people smoke cannabis freely on the streets of Côte Saint-Luc, the city might be sending the wrong message.
Right. Well, our smoking bylaw was always more severe than the provincial one. It's not as severe as Hampstead, where you can't basically smoke anywhere except in your home. Where there's a balance, but you're not allowed to smoke in parks, and you're not allowed to smoke within, I believe it's 9 meters from buildings, from public buildings. So we do have regulations that are more stringent than the province. They could become even more stringent for sure. But we consider the public domain to be an individual's home, their car, and the streets and sidewalks. So that's why we allow people to smoke in those areas where there's not a lot of children playing. They're not allowed to smoke, not only not in playgrounds, but not anywhere in our parks. Next question.
Okay, so the next question is from Rocco Amico. How many homes on Eldridge and Melling are currently tax exempt from the city?
There are 3 exempt and 1 that's partially exempt on Eldridge and none on Melling. Next question.
Okay, the next question is from Toby Schulman. I'm going to read it. It's a question, so I'm going to read it verbatim. Since Montreal and Quebec have both followed suit to Côte Saint-Luc in telling people that they must now wear masks on buses, metros, municipal buildings, stores, restaurants, I think that it's time for Côte Saint-Luc to lead the way once again. I've seen on Facebook that many people who live in apartment buildings and condos are concerned that in common areas like reception areas, laundry rooms, and corridors are not wearing masks. Every condo association and apartment building is doing things in a different manner. For example, allowing or not allowing deliveries to individual apartments, threatening fines, putting up or not putting up the extra signage from the city, putting out or not putting out extra cleansing stations as mandated by the city. Some residents have been saying that they don't have to wear masks in their condos or apartment buildings because the bylaw does not say that they have to. This is very divisive to the population of the building. Is it time that some unanimous decision be made for condos and apartment buildings in Côte Saint-Luc? How is one to know what to do when entering each building or condo? I would like to see another bylaw deal with private property that would allay fears of many residents. In my personal situation, the building is taking a very laissez-faire attitude, and I'm in the 70+ population, and this attitude does not sit well with me. When I walk to the front of the door of my building, when I walk in the hallways, or when I go to the laundry room, it bothers me that I'm the only one who's wearing a mask. I am protecting others, but most people are not protecting me. Many residents of Côte Saint-Luc feel the same way. Would having a referendum satisfy the council's understanding of how the community feels about this issue, or is council ready to take the next step?
I don't think we need a referendum. I'm very proud of the residents of Côte Saint-Luc. They're strongly in favor of the wearing of masks. I get emails, phone calls, people speaking to me about it all the time. The question is, where do they wear them? So most people, I'd say 95% of the population at least, is wearing them when they go into stores and they feel that that's appropriate. I personally agree with you, Toby, Ms. Schulman, that people should be wearing them in common spaces when they're with other people indoors, such as in a laundry room or in common areas. The problem is enforcement. We wrote a bylaw, obviously in a very intelligent way, and that the province is following our lead and having the store owner enforce it. The problem with condos and apartments is there's no one to enforce it, and no one clearly that we could say was there on the premises at the moment when the infraction occurred in order to fine them. So it's a real problem of enforcement. It's each condo and each apartment owner's responsibility to try to enforce it. I encourage condos and apartment owners to make it mandatory in their buildings. But it's very difficult for a city or any level of government to get into those buildings, see what's happening, and give out fines. So we weren't going to put in a bylaw that we couldn't enforce. Here it's with businesses, it's easy. We have the business owner, he's there, he's on site, or his manager is there on site. And if they're not following the law, they can get a fine. Same in our municipal buildings where we control them, and we can have a public security officer or someone else at the door and not let anyone in. And if there's somebody who insists on getting in, that person would get fined. So it's a question of enforcement. It's not a question of it not being a good idea. People in interior spaces, particularly when there's other individuals present and you can't physically distance, should be wearing masks. So I agree with you totally, and I encourage you to continue your efforts along with us all to pass the message that that's the right thing to do. Next question, Maître Provost.
Okay, so the next questions are from Perla Muyal, and they deal with bylaw 2557, more specifically for commerces. So the first question, please explain what we are expected to do when clients claim to be exempt from face covering, from the face covering bylaw. Do we bar them from entry? Do we ask for a medical note?
Okay, so if people claim to be exempt, I mean, this is a very subjective. It's not in the bylaw what is required, so it's subjective. I would say that we should be tolerant and we should be respectful of individuals if they show you a puffer or a prescription pad, a prescription, or you see that they don't hear very well. We have to be tolerant. So there's no particular requirement as what you need to show to get the exemption. We're trusting the population that they're not going to just make up stories in order not to wear a mask. So most people, I think, are quite honest, and if they have a medical condition, they're explaining what it is, and business owners are being respectful from what I'm hearing and allowing those exemptions to occur. Is there another question on that?
There's a second part to the question which deals specifically with the written attestation of bylaw 2557. So the question is, the document the city requires to be signed by small business owners. Why is this document required since all citizens are responsible for abiding by the bylaw?
I'm not exactly clear on the question unless she's referring to the attestation. Business owners?
She's referring to the attestation and the reasoning behind it.
The attestation is an idea that we came up with, which is very helpful because it requires business owners and condo associations and apartment owners to send us back a document that we prepared that states that they're going to respect our bylaws. So that means putting in hand washing stations, ensuring that masks are available when it comes to commerces, people wear masks, and telling people that they should physically distance, they should wash their hands, and they should wear masks. And in condos, it's to put up the signage and recommend the wearing of masks and have hand sanitizing stations available. So when they send back the attestation, we know that they've received it, they've read it, and they claim by signing that attestation that they're following the rules. So that's very helpful in terms of our enforcement. And those people that have not sent in their attestations are being contacted and followed up by our staff in order to ensure that they understand our bylaw and that we receive them.
Okay, that was the last question.
And there was something else that was offline you responded to already, I guess. Okay, so I think that's it for questions. Boy, so now we're going to go to, I did that. I'm going to move that down. And I'm going to my other screen. It's always fun having all these screens. All right, so those were the questions we received for question period. We'll be taking more questions relating to the agenda at the end of the meeting. So now I'm going to move to item number 2, which is approval of the minutes of the regular council meetings of June 8th, June 22nd, and June 25th. Councillor Sabat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you guys hear me? Good. That the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated June 8th, 2020, and the minutes of the special meeting June 22nd, as well as the special meeting of June 25th be and hereby approved and submitted.
Thank you, Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Georgeman. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. Was there any discussion? Sorry, any discussion? No. Okay, so carried unanimously. Now we move to item number 3, business arising from the minutes. Item number 4, the departmental reports. Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I so move that the monthly departmental reports, starting with finance and ending with the Eleanor London Côte Saint-Luc Public Library, be approved.
Seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion? Departmental reports. Councillor Ben-Isri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to mention that yesterday it was the free giveaway flowers day at Public Works Yard. It was very well planned. A few hundred residents that was present, and a few hundred residents drove through to pick up the flowers. Thanks to public security, they were on site to manage the traffic. And I would like right now to thank Beatrice Newman, the director of Public Works, and all her team, for the distribution. Bravo à toute l'équipe des travaux publics. Je peux vous dire que j'étais sur place et vraiment que les gens avaient le sourire hier durant la journée. Alors, merci encore aux travaux publics pour cette initiative.
Merci, c'était une très bonne initiative et une très bonne idée. OK, est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions? OK, Mike. Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to let people know that, as I mentioned last time, our cats committee is back to trapping, and we had an issue with, of course, our annual gala, which we've had to postpone in October. But we've now decided that we're going to go with the flow, and we're going to have a virtual gala, and we're working on that now. So more information to come. Everything's going well in the dog run. People are abiding by the rules, so thank you to everybody. The Equinox, they've completed the outside, mainly the outside work finally, and now they're moving indoors. We're hoping it's going to be completed on Marc Chagall by November or earlier, at which point they'll turn the parking lot that they've been using back into green space. The Montefiore is now very near completion. They've got most of the residents already living there on Mackle Road. It looks just beautiful from the outside. As well, speed bumps were installed a little bit late, but they're up now on Marc Chagall. So thank you to Public Works for their efforts. I was there the other day when Izzy Fagenbaum was putting them up in 100-degree weather. It wasn't easy. Basically, the only other thing I wanted to mention is I've been walking my district. I'm trying to do it 7 days a week. And talking with many residents as they're on their balconies. And I have to commend the residents of District 2, many of whom are even wearing masks as they walk outdoors. So I want to commend them, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Next on the Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, in terms of commending, I want to commend the provincial government for following in Côte Saint-Luc's lead by making masks mandatory. It took a bit longer than I expected, I have to admit, but I'm happy that they've done it in the end. On the finance portfolio, I want to remind residents that the second installment for city taxes, for municipal taxes, was postponed to August 28th. So again, a reminder for residents who have not yet paid to please make the adjustment to your online, if you pay online, to your online banking site. And if you haven't dropped off a check, please do so by August 28th. I also want to mention that the city has been looking into using e-transfers much more. For example, for dog licenses and cat licenses, urban planning, parking, and so on. The city is looking into more and more options to do e-transfers. And I also want to mention that the City Hall Finance Office is open for residents as well if they want to drop off a check or if they have questions. Of course, residents should maintain their physical distancing when they're at City Hall, and please remember to wear a mask. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely, and Councillor Torgman, and then Councillor Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The library pickup system has been working tremendously well. I want to thank all the library staff for all of the great work they're doing. Si vous voulez chercher des livres, il y a un système de réservation par Internet où vous pouvez choisir vos livres et passer les chercher. There's a tremendous amount of virtual learning, virtual summer reading for kids, Create Space, book talks, and even a Discover Côte Saint-Luc history YouTube video. Super interesting things. If you can discover through the library website, please check it out. And for those that don't have the internet, if you can let those people know, whether they're seniors or family members that don't have access to the internet, please let them know that there are these services available. Sunday the 27th, there's going to be a limited hours of opening of the library. There'll be an announcement as to the times and how that whole process is going to work. But we're very much looking forward to opening up the library in a limited and very safe manner for all of our residents. You'll have to wear a mask and there'll be multiple questions just to make sure that our staff is safe and that you remain safe. That's it. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Torgman. Councillor Burke. You're on mute still.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to mention that the urban planning department has been very busy in the past 2 months with many requests, especially during this time of COVID. There are many families and residents who are installing pools. And in June alone, there were 20 requests for the installation of pools. And I want to remind people that it is actually very important to respect the guidelines, no matter what kind of pool you install, whether it's above ground or in ground. You have to be very security conscious because, children and even young people can accidentally fall into a pool, and it's quite important to respect the rules regarding fencing and security. So I just want to remind everyone of that. And as far as the other inspections are going, our inspectors are extremely busy. I know that you got 2 requests with regard to inspections. So our inspectors are busy, and it's been a very busy month for our urban planning department.
It's going to be Councillor Kajewski and then Councillor Sabag, but I just want to mention on pools, as a former lifeguard and manager of Blossom Pool, it's wonderful to have a backyard pool and they're beautiful and wonderful, but remember there's no lifeguard there. So you as the parent are the lifeguard. So all our requirements of fencing and everything are extremely important. But the most important thing is make sure your kids know how to swim and keep your eyes on them. They shouldn't be alone in the backyard, particularly even if there's a fence. You have to make sure they can climb the fence. It's very exciting to get near water. So watch your kids. It's wonderful having swimming pools, but they're also dangerous places. Yeah, there's a dad watching his son. Okay, Councillor Kajewski, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I'm holding the boy. So just further to Councillor Burker's comments about pool safety, we put out a press release this week about pool safety, but more than that, any inflatable pool, any temporary steel framed pool, or any immersible object you put in your backyard. We want people to be extra safe this summer because a lot of people are spending a lot more time in their backyards, home, swimming, floating, freshening up. So make sure you're extra diligent about being safe in those pools in your backyards. And I would like to just very quickly single out the Parks and Recreation Department. That's a great job everyone is doing. I'm getting a lot of fantastic feedback from the pool, and thank you to our public for their patience, because we're learning, we're adapting. It's a work in progress, but thank you to the pool staff for all the great work they're doing and getting great feedback from the residents, as well as all the local park initiatives that we're doing, and we're getting great feedback on that as well, that the animators are engaged with the kids, and everyone is certainly doing their best under very difficult circumstances. And Sunny, that's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kajewski, Councillor Sabag.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I just wanted to let everybody know we got the SPVM report, monthly report this month. It's clear that Côte Saint-Luc remains one of the safest city on the island. Our crime rate is lower this month than it was last year, so when compared to 2019. I want to kind of dovetail into pool safety, which is incredibly important. Obviously, we're taking all the measures necessary, but we have to maintain a certain level of vigilance. Everybody knows that these pools are incredibly in demand these days, as people are not going away and the options are limited. So people are taking and investing in their homes, and they should be very, very conscious about the responsibility, not only towards their children, other people's children, but also animals. It does happen, believe it or not. I also want to mention quickly that I get regular phone calls almost every day and emails every day on people very concerned about face masks and people not wearing them in different public area. Again, I've gotten at least 3 people telling me that they got into altercations by engaging in a dialogue with someone about face mask. I'm going to ask everybody, all residents, to be very vigilant and also make sure not to confront anybody right off the bat. This becomes a very sensitive issue for people. And we've seen this not only on the social media front, but also some of the calls that I've been getting as well from my predecessor, Sam Goldboom, who called me today to discuss this type of issue. So, we can't teach civility, we can't teach politeness, but I ask everybody to just take care of themselves, wash your hands, continue being vigilant, continue being safe, and all will be good out there. So that's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sabat. I concur completely. Everybody knows the rules. They all know that it's good to wear masks. So just because you're going to say something to them is not going to help. The only person you might influence is the store owner saying, thank you for enforcing masks. It makes me feel safe to shop here. And then let him do his job, or her do her job. Yes, any other comments? All right. So then we have the mover and seconder, all in favor of the departmental reports. Sonny Kajowski, are you in favor of the departmental reports? Thank you. All in favor, carried unanimously. And now we move on to item number 5, financial services. Councillor Erdely. 5A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of June 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2020 for a total amount of $4,947,789.06 in Canadian funds, and that Treasurer's Certificate number 20-0075 dated July 3rd, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Erdely.
Yeah, so just to give some of the highlights, aside from the usual expenses, so there are 3 larger ones. One was a bond payment. Every year, the city has 1 or 2 bond repayments we do as loans come up for maturity or are basically renewed. So this was for bond 89 this year. There were also some vehicle purchases and purchases for expenses for the water maintenance contract through CMO. So those are the 3 biggest items for this month.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely, and seconded by Councillor Burku. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, carried unanimously. We move to item 5B, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a hosted telephony contract to Bell Canada starting April 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021 for a monthly amount of $4,757 for a total amount of $85,626 plus applicable taxes, and Treasurer's Certificate number TC 20-0077 dated July 7th, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So just to explain briefly, in 2015, the City Côte Saint-Luc entered into a 5-year contract with Bell Canada to host our telephone services for the city. The contract expired or came to an end a few months ago, but basically the city didn't have a chance to finalize a proper tender and revisit it, and things got delayed furthermore because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So all that to say, we are renewing the contract temporarily for an additional 18 months, and I should mention at a savings of 3.7%. So during that 18-month time, it'll give the city an opportunity to review its needs in terms of telephone use and to go out for a proper request for proposal, a proper tender process that will be done in the year 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. So now it's moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to item number 6, which is legal services. And I go to Councillor Benisri.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Est résolu que le conseiller Steven Erdely soit et est par les présents nommé maire suppléant pour la ville de Côte Saint-Luc pour la période débutant le 13 juillet 2020 jusqu'au 30 septembre 2020 inclusivement, et que le conseiller Erdely et par les présents les pouvoirs d'exercer le rôle du maire lorsque le maire est absent ou dans l'impossibilité d'exercer ses tâches d'office.
proposé par le conseiller Benizri et appuyé par le conseiller
Yes.
Cohen. OK. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Félicitations. Tout le monde en faveur? Tout le monde en faveur? Oui. Okay, carried unanimously. Congratulations, Councillor Erdely. So as of August 1st, you'll be pro mayor. I'll know that the city is in good hands if I'm ever busy that day. But remember, guys, pro mayor means just if I can't make a meeting, he steps in. That's it. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so now we move on to item number 7, which is 7A. Councillor Burku.
Thank you. So be it resolved that, hang on. Whereas on December 9th, 2020, the City of Côte Saint-Luc adopted a resolution by which the legal hypothec bearing inscription number 5279112 registered on August 3rd, 2001 was radiated and manlevée was granted. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby amends resolution number 191234 to replace Maître Robert Alain with Maître Eric Lupovich, so that Maître Lupovich is authorized to prepare and publish the deed of radiation in regards to the legal hypothec bearing inscription number 5279112 registered on August 3rd, 2001 at no cost to the city.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Kajowski. Any discussion, Councillor Burku?
Yes, simply to say that Maître Alain was authorized to prepare and publish the deed of radiation, and he has retired, and we're simply asking Maître Lupovich to take over and do the radiation. Thank you.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to 7B. Councillor Kajowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves the rental agreement between the city and STM in regards to the use of the facilities situated in the Chalet at the Yitzhak Rabin Park for the period between October 1st, 2020 and September 30th, 2026. That the city's general council be authorized to sign on the city's behalf the aforementioned rental agreement.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
Just quickly, it's a renewal of the rental agreement with the STM that allows them to use the washrooms at Yitzhak Rabin Park, and it's for a term of 6 years.
Excellent. So moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Well, let them use the washrooms. Carried unanimously. 7C. Councillor Kajowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 1 sec, scrolling down. Here we go. I'm not going to read the preamble. Be it resolved that the preamble is an integral part hereof, as if recited throughout, that the City of Côte Saint-Luc hereby confirms the city's membership to the CHI-2021-2022 purchasing group put in place by the Union of Municipalities of Quebec, covering the period from January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022 for the purchase of 12% sodium hypochlorite liquid chlorine in bulk required for the city operations. That the city entrusts the UMQ with the mandate to prepare on its behalf, and that the other municipal organizations concerned call for tenders document to award one or more group purchase contracts covering the period of January 2021 as of December 31st, 2022, that in order to enable the UMQ to prepare its tender document, the city undertakes to provide the UMQ with the names and quantities of the chemical products it will need annually by filling in the technical registration forms sent by the UMQ, and to return this document before the required date. That the city entrusts the UMQ with the mandate to analyze the bids submitted and to award contracts for a period of 2 years in accordance with the terms set out in call for tenders in the applicable law. That if the UMQ shall award a contract, the city undertakes to respect the terms of this contract as if it had directly contracted with the supplier to whom the contract was awarded. That the city acknowledges that the UMQ will receive directly from the winning bidder as a management fee a percentage of the amount before taxes billed to each participant. This rate is set at 1.6% for UMQ members and 3.5% for non-UMQ members. that a copy of the present resolution shall be transmitted to the UMQ.
Thank you, Councillor Kajewski.
Thanks, Sonny, for his patience.
Seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion? Sonny wants to talk.
I think it's self-explanatory. It's a group tender for the purchase of chlorine with other municipalities who require chlorine for their pools.
Okay, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move to item number 7. No, D, I should say 7D. Councillor Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So be it resolved that, hang on, I'm just going to scroll down here. It's dealing with the ping. Okay, whereas City of Côte Saint-Luc purchased 2 ping pong tables for its Parks and Recreation Department, whereas the source of financing must come from the city's working fund. Be it resolved, the City of Côte Saint-Luc hereby ratifies the purchase of 2 ping pong tables from V Distribution Sport for a total amount of $6,673 plus applicable taxes, that the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's working fund as a non-interest bearing loan, and that the council shall provide every year out of its general fund a sum sufficient to repay the loan back into the working fund, that the terms of repayment shall not exceed 5 years, and that a treasurer's certificate dated July 7th, 2020 has been issued by the treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Thank you, Councillor Burku. Seconded by Councillor Kajewski. Any discussion?
Yes, so we already have 1 ping pong table and now we've acquired 2 more. And these will be installed in the city for the recreational purposes of the public, especially during these COVID times. This is very COVID-friendly activity. It's bring your own rackets and balls and play away.
Absolutely. Try to find more fun ideas for people to enjoy, that you can be 6 feet apart and you can be playing ping pong.
Locations to be announced soon. We haven't finalized the locations quite yet.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Everyone's in favor of ping pong. And now we move on to urban development, 8A, Councillor Torgman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby award a contract for the reconstruction and repair of the city sidewalks to Kojalac Inc., the lowest conforming bidder, for up to a maximum of $74,970 plus applicable taxes, that the described expenses shall be financed from the loan bylaw 2521, previously approved by the Ministère des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation, that the City of Côte Saint-Luc treasurer has issued a treasurer certificate TC 20-0074 on June 30, 2020, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Thank you, Councillor Torgman, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
Just that our yearly, albeit a bit lower value contract for the reconstruction of sidewalks throughout the city.
Right. These are basically the most urgent repairs that are required. We had a tender that came in for a bigger project. It was much too high, so we rejected it. But we're coming back with a project which we're able to do with under $100,000. And this is for all the urgent repairs of sidewalks in the city. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to item 8B. Councillor Torgman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the Côte Saint-Luc City Council award a contract to Gagné et Roy Inc. for the repair of the Samuel Moscovich Arena roofing in accordance with the terms of tender number C-04-20C for a total amount of $940,196 plus applicable taxes, that $710,496 for the described expenses shall be financed from the loan bylaw 2544, previously approved by the Ministère des Affaires de l'Habitation, for the remainder of the $229,700 shall be financed from the city's unrestricted surplus account. That the treasurer certificate number TC 20-0073 dated June 23, 2020 has been issued by the city's treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Thank you, Councillor Torchman, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion? This is the Samuel Moscovich Arena roof.
Right. Just the roof needs to be redone. The arena's been done, and now we just need to make sure water doesn't come in. So
Yeah, we have enough water on the ice. We don't need water on the ice except for the water to make the ice. Okay, so moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to item number 9, which is Councillor Erdely, 9A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2345-2 to be entitled bylaw 2345-2, amending bylaw 2345, entitled bylaw governing the demolition of buildings in order to increase the amount of the minimum maximum fine will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. I furthermore mention the object and scope of the bylaw 2345-2 to be entitled bylaw 2345-2, amending bylaw 2345 entitled bylaw governing the demolition of buildings in order to increase the amount of the minimum maximum fine. And I finally table draft bylaw 2345-2 to be entitled bylaw 2345-2, amending bylaw 2345 entitled bylaw governing the demolition of buildings in order to increase the amount of the maximum fine.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. As it's a notice of motion and a tabling, there's no seconder, but you might want to explain it.
Yeah, so just to explain briefly, what happened recently was the provincial government increased the minimum fines for certain violations of the bylaw 2345, which is the bylaw concerning demolition of buildings. So what we are doing is increasing the minimum and maximum fine to be in line with the provincial government regulations.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. And now we move to item B, 9B. 9B is Councillor Kajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2539-1 entitled bylaw to amend bylaw 2539 to consolidate existing tariffs for the city of Côte Saint-Luc in order to eliminate deposits required for street excavation be and is hereby adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Kajewski, seconded by, there is no seconder. Sorry, it's an adoption. That's it, right? Or is there a seconder?
Yeah, you would require a seconder as well in this case.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Torchman.
Perfect.
You want to explain that, Councillor Kajewski?
Yeah, this is well, it's the consolidation of the tariff portion of the bylaw that eliminated the need for a resident to have to make a deposit when they, let's say, someone's sewer line breaks and they have to excavate past the sidewalk and into the street. Will now require no deposit to be made in order to replace the replace the sidewalk and the asphalt that the resident had to destroy in order to replace their sewer pipe. So it's a situation that I had and many of my neighbors in District 5, an unforeseen expense when your sewer line breaks and you have to go down and replace it. There's significant cost, and now the city is going to offer a little bit of help to those residents.
Okay,
I just want to add, it's more than just the deposit. The charges on the homeowners who are already dealing with the repairs to their sewer pipes, they're not going to be charged now to resurface the city street and sidewalk when they have to perform some street excavation. So the city is going to absorb those costs for the homeowners.
so moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Councillor Sabags in favor? Thank you. Carried unanimously. We move to item 9.1. 9.1A, Councillor Burku.
Right. Okay, thank you. This is for Earl. Just a second. So this is a property situated at 5537 5539 Earl. Be it resolved that the Site Planning and Architectural Integration Program received June 9th, 2020, showing the installation of a handicap elevator in front of an existing bi-family semi-detached dwelling on lot 105-4251 at 5537-5539 Earl, and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of June 16th, 2020, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Thank you, Councillor Berku. Seconded by Councillor, let's see over here. Seconded by Councillor Erdling. Yeah, okay, any discussion?
This particular homeowner has obtained an agreement with the CIE Centre-Ouest to be recognized as a résidence d'accueil de type familial. So he's taking in persons who need some safe home environment. In order to receive the family, they also are going to be receiving 2 handicapped wheelchair, like children who are in wheelchairs. And the members are not opposed to the installation of a we're not opposed to, I'm reading from the minutes of the PAC committee. We're not opposed to the installation of a handicap elevator up to the ground floor level in front of the family dwelling. So that's basically what it's for, to allow handicapped children to access the entrance of the duplex.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We can go to item B, Councillor Berku on Edgemore.
Just a second, I'm just trying to find it. 247, sorry. Almost there. Okay, so this is Edgemore. Be it resolved, oh, sorry. Be it resolved that the Site Planning and Architectural Integration Program received June 11, 2020, showing modifications to the facades of an existing single-family detached dwelling on lot 105-4463 at 5596 Edgemore, and prepared by Agapi and Alt Architects for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of June 16, 2020, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Thank you, Councillor Berku, seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri. Any discussion?
This is basically to approve the proposed modifications to the facade of the building. And it's going to be a major improvement. It's going to really look much better. And I don't know if we can show it on the screen, but.
Well, he did. Oh, he didn't. He showed the initial perspective.
Okay.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to item number C, Councillor Berku. Brookside.
Okay, so item number C, just forgive me for one moment. I have to read a revised resolution. So be it resolved that the Site Planning and Architectural Integration Program received May 11th, 2020, showing the construction of a second-story addition on top of an existing single-family detached dwelling on lot 105-3569 at 5717 Brookside, and prepared by Mr. Y. Farkas, architect, for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 19th, 2020, be approved on the condition that the new front balcony coexist with a new balustrade incorporating an opaque as well as the new transparent steel balustrade in order to preserve the existing facade of the dwelling according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Thank you, Councillor Berku, seconded by Councillor Georgeman. Any discussion?
Yeah, so the reason I had to read that detail is because we want to be very clear that the facade has to integrate exactly what I said about the balustrades having to be integrated in the way I described it. Normally, we just approve the perspective, but we didn't have the final perspective, so we just we're describing it exactly as we want it. Thank you.
Okay, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to item number 9.2, which is the minor exemption for Brookside. Councillor Burke.
Okay. 9.2. Right, got it. Okay, this is for the parking space. So because it's an extension of a single family home, we are approving a minor exemption in accordance with provisions of bylaw G18-005. The request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5717 Brookside being is hereby approved. The whole is more amply delineated hereunder. The request is in order to allow the construction of a second-story addition for an existing detached single-family dwelling without having to provide a two-car garage when the dwelling area is more than 1,800 square feet, excluding the area of the garage in the basement. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw 2217, Article 7-2-1A to be approved. Yes.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Torgman.
So this is the same home on Brookside where we just approved the extension, the second floor extension. And because it only has a single car garage at the present time, we are giving it a minor exemption, even though the house is expanded a little bit. We're still allowing it to maintain a single car garage.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. We move to item number 10, Councillor Sabag. You're on mute.
Désolé, Monsieur le maire, merci beaucoup. Résolution pour établir l'orientation du Conseil de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc sur les sujets devant être présentés à la séance de Conseil d'agglomération urbaine de Montréal.
Okay, moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Kajewski, I believe. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And then we move to other business. And a second question period. Darrell Levine, Communications Officer, can you post any questions? Open the online chat and let's post any questions that relate to the issues discussed at the meeting. Si vous avez une question au sujet d'un des items de cet agenda, vous pouvez le faire maintenant. N'importe quelle question, mais ça doit être sur un sujet qu'on a discuté ce soir. No questions. There are no questions, but we'll leave the chat open for another minute in case somebody comes up with a question. Et je veux remercier tout le monde pour être avec nous ce soir pour notre réunion virtuelle. C'est un plaisir toujours d'avoir l'opportunité de parler avec la population et je suis disponible toujours. Certainement, cet été, c'était incroyable le nombre d'appels au téléphone, par email, par texte et par les médias au sujet de ce qu'on a fait ici à Côte Saint-Luc. Et je veux remercier toute la population parce que chacun de vous est un exemple. We are examples for all Quebecers. Continue to do what you've been doing. Wherever I go, whoever I speak to, whether it's in the French media or English media, people tell me that they've seen us, they've heard about us, they've heard about this wonderful city of Côte Saint-Luc who's been a leader for all Quebecers. And we should keep on doing what we're doing because basically it's you. It's each one of you doing the right thing. So thank you all. I'm going to check for one last time to see if there's anything else. Any questions, Darrell Levine?
There are no questions. However, if you are watching this on your computer, you'll have to press the refresh button in your browser to be able to see the chat window appear. On your smartphone, I believe you can just type your message.
Okay, but there are nothing. I just see your notes saying there's no questions. Okay, so if there are no questions, I'll call for adjournment.
So it be moved, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Kajewski, all in favor. We are now adjourned. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.